Hi, my name's Andrew and I work at Action Your Potential. It's Children's Mental Health Week and we wanted to give you a video that explores how to look after your well-being every day. At Action Your Potential, we work in 180 schools. We also support businesses and individuals to learn about their amazing brain and build neuro ninjas. So let's dive into this well-being video. Hi, so it's Children's Mental Health Week and the focus is about empowering young people to understand their amazing minds. And here at Action Your Potential, we completely agree with that idea. We teach people to learn about their amazing, incredible brains and become a neuro ninja. So when we're teaching students about their incredible brains, and we come into schools and do this in person, we also coach children and parents and teachers to understand the incredible power of the human brain. We're trying to build skills of metacognition. Now that's a bit of a complicated word, so let's unpack it. Meta means to be self-aware and reflective. So for example, if you think about a little brother or sister that is moany, groany and drony, and you, as their older brother and sister, realise that their moany, groany and droniness is actually because they're hungry. So they're experiencing hangriness. That is metacognitive thinking. The small child is hangry and grumpy, but hasn't realised the reason they're grumpy is because they're hungry. Now that can happen to all of us, but metacognition is about watching what our brain is doing and not just getting lost in it. So it's floating above thinking and watching thinking. Thinking about our thinking and feeling and trying to be more mentally flexible. So how can we build mental flexibility in our day, every single day? Well, we need to learn the first neuro ninja skill. And that first skill is all about the 12 rocks of well-being. These are 12 daily behaviours that our body and brain need us to do to build the best version of us in our body and brain. Now, a little bit of neuroscience. Our body and brain together project our mind. So think about a cinema. You've all been to a cinema. Behind you is that bright light. That's a projector. The image you see on the screen in this example is like the mind. So the projector is the brain. The screen image of the movie is the mind. Your brain projects you every day. It projects me as well. And the quality of our body and brain's experience in terms of well-being behaviours hugely affects the quality of our mind. For example, think about how grumpy and moany and groany and scratchy-eyed you are when you haven't had enough sleep. Why is that? Because the brain hasn't cleaned itself properly overnight and the neurons, the brain cells, are not communicating with each other very well, and that means our version of ourselves is more moany and groany, more emotional. We find it more difficult to get things done. We're more anxious, we worry more, and that's just one night of not having enough sleep. So these 12 well-being behaviours, these 12 rocks of well-being, we all need to do every single day. I know that could be a potentially annoying list, but if you look at the list, you can see that actually you probably do some of them already. Now what we're going to do is just going to dive into them and explore them in a little bit more detail. Being a neuro ninja involves us learning that well-being is a skill, and the first skill of being a neuro ninja, the first metacognitive skill, is doing our rocks of well-being. The second skill is managing our emotions. Now emotions are the body responding to what's happening in the world and our brain picking up those feelings so we can have positive and negative emotions. Skill 2, managing emotions, of being a neuro ninja, is about being aware of, noticing and talking about our emotions, particularly the really strong and negative ones with people that we trust. So we are constantly changing our brain, and well-being as a skill is a really important example of that. If we look after the body and brain we're in, the best bit of kit we'll ever own, our brain is amazing. It weighs about the same as a standard bag of flour that you might make some bread with. It's got 86 billion neurons, 300 trillion connections, and it runs on the amount of electricity it takes to light a Christmas light. It's an amazing bit of kit. We need to remember that who we are, what we do, all of those things are hugely affected by the quality of our experiences. And if we repeatedly do something, our brain will make it easier to do that thing. So we're all shaping our brains. That idea is called neuroplasticity. So being a neuro ninja is understanding that we can hugely affect our own well-being each day by building skills of great well-being and managing our emotions. So a neuro ninja lives in their brain, understanding how it's projecting their mind, and that if we build our brain every day, we're doing activities that support our brain to get really good connections. You're building the brain that you're in. Now that brain is hugely affected by what you do each day, your habits. It's massively affected by relationships, your friendships, your family relationships. It's hugely affected by the relationships you build with yourself, and it's massively affected by goals that you have. Those four things, goals, relationships with others, relationship with self, and habits, they're called four psychosocial forces. What we mean is these are forces that shape our minds, psychological, and these are forces that also are out in the social world, and they shape our mind and brain as well. So be in no doubt, you've got everything you need at the top of your neck. Your brain is amazing. But let's just go and look at those 12 rocks of well-being in a little bit more detail. So imagine that you did this. I'm sure you wouldn't, but imagine, just go with me, bear with me in this story. Imagine it's Christmas Day and you get an additional present you weren't expecting. It's kind of A4 size but a bit thicker than a piece of paper, and you open the beautifully wrapped box and you discover a brand new iPad in there, a brand new tablet. And instead of opening it and plugging it in and starting to play with it and uploading the new software, you did something really weird. Now obviously this is a thought experiment, no one would actually let you do this, but say you went out into the garden, got a shovel out and made a hole and put the iPad in the hole and then covered it with earth, and you left it there for not just 1 hour, you left it there for a whole day. And then you went back out into the garden, dug it up and then brought it in and started moaning to anyone who would listen that your iPad's not working. This iPad isn't working. Why isn't it working? And people would say, well, obviously it's not working. You've buried it in the ground. You've covered it with earth. You've got dirt in the charging port. Now, no one is going to do that to an iPad. But people do it to their brains every day. We don't get enough sleep. We don't eat the right foods. We don't spend time with friends and family. We don't walk outside in nature. We don't listen to music. We're not kind and grateful. We don't do one of our hobbies. If we don't do those things, we're not building the best mind possible as it's emerging from our brain. So, sleep is incredibly important. That is rock one of the 12 rocks of well-being. Sleep cleans the brain. Sleep strengthens memories. Sleep builds immune cells that fight disease. Sleep is incredibly important, and we need between 8 and 9 hours of sleep a night. So we need to protect our sleep. We need to look after our sleep. The second rock of well-being is exercise. Now, exercise is really good for our body, but it's amazing for our mind as well. When brains exercise, they produce a hormone that causes neurons to sprout new connections. And exercise also mops up a lot of the energy that is generated when we're working hard at school. That energy is stress. That stress, if it's not mopped up, can cause us to overthink. It can damage our sleep, and it can cause other issues. If we exercise every day, running around the playground is a brilliant example. We're going to really help our body and brain build the best mind possible. Rock 3 is eating healthily. We all know that we should eat healthily, but there's so many nice bits of food out there that maybe aren't that healthy, but we need to make sure we have 3 good meals a day and plenty of fruit and vegetables and plenty of water. Lots of you, when we go and work in schools, have lots of water bottles. That is great. It's really important to make sure you've got plenty of water during the course of the day, and you're minimizing the amount of ultra processed food you're eating. So you're just not eating crisps and chocolate bars, you're eating apples and carrots and things that are really good for you, and obviously a balance of proteins and carbohydrates and good fats. Rock 4 is meditation, or being still. It's called mindfulness. Now, really good example of being still would be meditation. That's focusing on a sound, like the sound of a bell, or focusing on your breathing and holding your attention and noticing when your mind wanders and bringing it back to your breathing. But being still could just being outside and looking at the trees blowing in the wind. It's about being present in the present moment, and it's really good because it calms down your body and brain. It activates a part of your body and brain system called the parasympathetic nervous system. Rock 5 is all about the mind's daydreaming network. Now, you will have noticed this. The daydreaming network comes on whenever we're not focused and concentrating. So we don't want it to come on in a maths lesson, but we do want to allow it to come on naturally when we're walking around, maybe walking to and from school or getting a lift in a car. The daydreaming network is the brain solving problems. It can sometimes be filled with worries and negative thoughts. It can sometimes be filled with creativity and imagination. We need to balance our daydreaming network every day and make sure it's not too doom and gloom, and make sure it's not coming on at times when it'd be inconvenient and cause us problems, like meaning that we're not being able to focus in maths. Rock 6 is also skill 2 of being a neuro ninja, managing our emotions. We're going to have thousands of feelings every day, and it's perfectly normal to have those feelings, and we can't control our emotions. Any emotion we have is totally allowable, but some of the really big emotions we need to talk about with people that we trust. So when we get home from school, we talk about anything that's on our mind. That really helps our brain process emotions. Rock 7 is walking outside in nature. That is so good for our mental health. It changes the firing pattern in our prefrontal cortex just behind our forehead, which really helps us calm down. Rock 8 is listening to music. Now, young people, children are generally pretty good at listening to music. Lots of different sorts of music. Your brain totally loves music, so make sure it gets a good blast of music every day. And you can also have a good dance maybe as well. Rock 9, spending time with friends and family. That's really important for human brains. Really important to spend time with people that care about you and you care about them. It's really good for lots of networks in your brain. In fact, humans need it as much as they need food and water. We need to spend time with friends and family. Rock 10 is all about being kind and grateful. It's really important to be kind and grateful. Those processes change the way that the neocortex, the top of the brain, connects with the rest of the brain. So just being a bit grateful and appreciating what you've got strengthens circuits that will help you manage your brain rather than getting lost in moany, groany reactivity. Rock 11 is doing something you love. You can see this horse galloping. That's something that the horse loves. That's really important. We all have got hobbies and interests. Our brains are very different. We all like different things. So it's really important that we do something that we love each day, ideally. And finally, human brains, particularly the neocortex on the top, love playing and making and creating and reading. All of these things are really good for your brain. So it's really important to make sure we get plenty of Rock 12 in each and every day. So try to get your rocks in every day. Use this checklist to help you. And with the video that came together with this information, there'll be a tick list that you can print out. We've also got an app that you can download, or obviously you hopefully won't have a smartphone yet, because that's not great for mental health either for young children, but maybe your parents have got a smartphone and they can download the app and you can all check your rocks every single day. So thanks for listening to this video all about building well-being as a skill, and the first two skills of being a neuro ninja. We always say to people that you've got everything you need at the top of your neck. If you look after your brain, it will absolutely look after you. And remember, whatever you get your brain to do each day, it will make it easier for you to do those things. So change your brain for positive reasons. Give it opportunities to do new things. That will change your mind, and that will change your world.